I? Whose care was that?
Whose car was that? Kang Jihun asked, his voice dangerously soft as he adjusted his cufflinks in the parking garage, stepping close enough that I could smell his expensive cologne. And the way his dark eyes finally locked onto mine made my pulse spike for reasons that had nothing to do with fear. And I realized my Mafia boss wasn't asking out of security concerns. The barely controlled tension in his hands, the possessive way he was looking at me like I belonged to him, told me Seoul's most dangerous man was about to lose control over a simple ride to work. Welcome to another addictive tale. If you love employees going undercover, millionaire bosses with deadly secrets, and tension so thick you can't look away, you're in the right place. But before we continue, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what's happening in your world right now. I genuinely care about getting to know the incredible people listening to my stories. So drop a comment, let's chat. And while you're at it, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Let's go. Good morning, Mr. Kong, she said carefully, keeping her voice professional. I didn't realize you were already in. I asked you a question. He didn't move, but somehow his presence filled the entire space. Who dropped you off? Amara's mind raced. He'd seen her arrive. Of course he had. His office overlooked the parking entrance, and Kang Jihun noticed everything, especially things concerning her. A friend, she said, moving toward her desk in the outer office. My car's in the shop. What friend? Does it matter? She set down her bag, powering on her computer with hands that wanted to shake. I'm here on time, ready to work. It matters. His voice was closer now. She hadn't heard him move, but suddenly he was in the doorway between their offices, blocking her exit. Everything about you matters to me. The words hung in the air, loaded with meaning neither of them could acknowledge. Amara forced herself to meet his eyes. With respect, sir, my personal life is my own. Is it? Jihun's jaw clenched. You're my executive assistant. You have access to sensitive information, confidential meetings. You're inside my organization. And you expect me not to care when you arrive in an unfamiliar Mercedes with a man I don't know. I expect you to trust me. Her voice came out sharper than intended. I've worked for you for 18 months. Have I ever given you reason not to? Something flickered across his face. Conflict. Want. It was gone in an instant, replaced by cold calculation. Show me your hand, he said. What? Your left hand. Show me. Slowly, Amara held out her hand. The cut across her palm was healing, but still visible. She tried to hide it with concealer, but his eyes were too sharp. How did you get that? Jihun asked quietly. Cooking accident. You're lying. He stepped closer, and Amara's back hit her desk. You're terrible at lying, Mississippi Park. Your voice gets softer. You won't hold eye contact for more than a second. And your right hand always fidgets with your watch. Damn it. Her fingers had moved to her wrist without her realizing it. I cut it opening a package, she tried again. It's nothing. Nothing. Jihun was close enough now that she could smell his cologne. Expensive. Masculine. Overwhelming. You arrive in a stranger's car. You have a defensive wound on your hand. You're wearing pants instead of your usual skirt. And there's exhaustion in your eyes that says you didn't sleep last night. His hand came up, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the heat of his skin near her face. So tell me again, he said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Where were you last night? And who the hell was that man? Amara's heart was hammering. She'd known this moment would come eventually. Known her double life couldn't stay hidden forever. But she wasn't ready. Not yet. Just a friend, she said. Someone who helped me out when my car broke down. You're still lying. And you're being inappropriate. She pushed past him, putting distance between them. You're my employer, not my keeper. Aren't I? The words came out harsh, raw. Because it feels like I'm losing my mind watching you slip away. Wondering where you go. Who you're with. If you're safe. Amara turned to stare at him. This was different from his usual controlled demeanor. This was something breaking through. Mr. Kong, you had a bruise last week, he continued, his voice tight. On your shoulder. I saw it when your blazer shifted. You said you bumped into a door. You're too graceful for that. 2 weeks ago, you came in late with torn stockings. You said you tripped on the subway stairs. You hate the subway. You always drive. He moved toward her again, and this time she had nowhere to go. I notice everything about you, Amara, he said, using her first name for the first time in months. Every inconsistency, every lie, every moment you're hiding something from me. And it's killing me because I can't. He stopped himself, jaw clenching so hard she could see the muscle jump. Can't what? Amara whispered. Jehun's eyes met hers, and what she saw there stole her breath. Want, need, possession, fear. Can't protect you if I don't know what you're protecting yourself from, he finished, but they both knew that wasn't what he'd almost said. Before either could continue, his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and his expression shifted instantly. Business. Emergency. We're not done with this conversation, he said, his voice cold and controlled again. All emotion locked away. You're staying late tonight. We need to discuss your performance. Performance. They both knew he meant something else entirely. I have plans, Amara said. Cancel them. It wasn't a request. My office. 7 p.m. Don't be late. He walked back into his office and closed the door with controlled precision. Amara sank into her chair, hands shaking. Her phone buzzed with a text from her PI partner. Case tonight. Surveillance on the warehouse suspect. You in? She stared at the message, then at Jehun's closed door. This was getting too dangerous. Not the PI work. Him. The way he looked at her. The way she wanted to tell him everything. It had started 6 months ago, she thought. The moment she'd decided to honor her father's legacy by continuing his investigative work. The moment she'd started living 2 lives. She just hadn't expected one of those lives to include falling in love with her boss. Amara stared at her computer screen without seeing it, her mind replaying the confrontation with Jehun. She needed to focus. Had reports to file, meetings to schedule, calls to return. But all she could think about was the look in his eyes when he'd said her name. 18 months ago, she'd answered an ad for an executive assistant position. Import-export company seeking highly organized, discreet professional. Competitive salary. Confidentiality essential. She'd known within the first interview that Kang Jehun's business wasn't entirely legitimate. The security was too tight. The questions too invasive. The background check too thorough for a simple assistant role. But she'd needed the job desperately. Her father had died 3 months earlier, leaving her alone in Seoul with his unsolved cases and her own grief. The salary Jehun offered was more than generous. Enough to keep her father's apartment. Enough to breathe. And Kang Jehun himself had been unexpected. She'd expected a typical mafia boss. Crude. Violent. Demanding. Instead, she'd found a man who was cold, yes, but also brilliant. Controlled. He spoke 4 languages fluently. Read constantly. Treated her with professional respect that surprised her. The first 6 months had been strictly business. He was Mr. Kang. She was Mississippi Park. They worked well together. His schedule was demanding, but she was capable. His world was dangerous, but she wasn't naive. Then things shifted. Small things first. He'd noticed she took her coffee with cream, no sugar, and started keeping her preferred brand stocked. When a client had made a racist comment about her, something crude about exotic assistants, Jehun had ended the meeting immediately and blacklisted the man from all future business. No one disrespects my people, he'd said simply. But it was the way he said my people that had made something warm unfold in her chest. Then came the late nights. Working together when the office was empty. Those were the moments his mask slipped. He'd talk about growing up in his father's organization, the violence he'd inherited, the empire he was trying to build into something more than blood and territory. Do you think it's possible? He'd asked once, past midnight, whiskey in hand. To be born into darkness and still choose something better? I think we're defined by our choices, Amara had answered. Not our inheritance. He'd looked at her then like she'd said something profound, like she was something precious. That was the moment everything changed. After that, there were touches. His hand steadying her elbow when she stumbled in heels. Her fingers brushing his when passing documents. Lingering looks across the conference table. Tension so thick during late-night work sessions that Amara could barely breathe. But nothing happened. He never crossed the line. Never acknowledged the electricity between them. Until this morning. Amara's phone buzzed, snapping her back to present. Her PI partner, Marcus Chun. Seriously, tonight's surveillance is time-sensitive. Need confirmation. She typed back. Can't. Work conflict. This is the third time you've bailed. We losing you to the corporate world. Amara bit her lip. The PI work had started 6 months ago, 3 months after her father's funeral. She'd been going through his files, organizing his cases, when she'd found it. His last investigation. Corruption in Korean-American business circles. Names, dates, connections. All pointing to something bigger. He'd died before solving it. Heart attack, the doctors said. But Amara had found the threatening letters hidden in his desk. The warning to drop the case. She couldn't prove her father had been murdered. But she couldn't ignore it either. So she'd gotten her PI license. Started taking cases. Small things at first. Background checks. Insurance fraud. Then bigger ones. Following leads her father had left behind. Marcus had been her father's partner. He'd taught her surveillance, investigation techniques, how to handle herself when situations went sideways. Like last night, when a simple cheating spouse case had turned into a confrontation with a violent ex-boyfriend who'd pulled a knife. Marcus had extracted her before things escalated. Driven her home. Dropped her off this morning because her car really was in the shop. Damaged in a parking lot confrontation 2 days ago that she'd definitely not mentioned to anyone. The cut on her hand was from that knife. The exhaustion was from spending all night writing reports and processing evidence. The pants were because she had a bruise on her thigh from getting shoved into a car door. All things she absolutely could not tell Kang Jae-hoon. Because if she told him, he'd try to stop her. He'd use his considerable resources to shut down her investigations. He'd wrap her in so much protection she'd suffocate. She'd seen how he operated, how he handled threats, how he controlled everything in his sphere of influence. Amara loved her independence, loved honoring her father's memory, loved the work itself, helping people, finding truth, solving puzzles. She couldn't give that up, not even for a man who looked at her like she was his entire world. The past month had been close calls stacking up, injuries that were harder to explain, time conflicts that required elaborate lies, and Jae-hoon's suspicion growing like a storm building on the horizon. Last week, she'd come back from a stakeout to find one of Jae-hoon's security guards coincidentally at her apartment building. 2 days ago, she'd spotted his second-in-command, Jae-sung, at the same coffee shop where she'd been meeting a client. Jae-hoon was having her followed. She was almost certain, but she couldn't stop. Not when she was so close to answers about her father's death. Not when the leads were finally connecting. Her computer pinged. Calendar reminder. Performance review, 7 p.m., Mr. Kang's office. Amara's stomach knotted. That wasn't a performance review. That was a reckoning. She spent the day working on autopilot, answering emails, managing Jae-hoon's schedule, attending meetings where she took notes and avoided his gaze. Every time she looked up, he was watching her, not even trying to hide it anymore. At 6:45 p.m., the office emptied. Support staff leaving, calling goodbyes. Security doing final rounds. Until it was just Amara at her desk and Jae-hoon in his office. At 6:58, his door opened. "Mississippi Park," he said, his voice carrying that dangerous calm from this morning. "My office." Now. Amara saved her work, stood on legs that wanted to shake, and walked through his door. Jae-hoon closed it behind her with a quiet click that sounded like a cell door locking. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the leather chair across from his desk. She sat. He didn't go behind his desk. Instead, he leaned against it, arms crossed, looking down at her with an expression she couldn't read. "I'm going to ask you one more time," Jae-hoon said quietly. "And I want the truth. What are you hiding from me, Amara?" The office felt smaller with just the two of them. The floor-to-ceiling windows showed Seoul's skyline glittering in the darkness, but Amara couldn't focus on anything except the man standing over her. "I'm not hiding anything," she said, hating how her voice wavered. Jae-hoon's laugh was sharp, humorless. "Still lying. Even now." He moved to the bar cart in the corner, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. The gesture felt significant. Personal. They'd never shared drinks before. "Tell me about your friend," he said, settling into the chair beside her instead of behind his desk. "Close. Too close. The one who dropped you off. His name is Marcus." "He's Marcus Chun," Jae-hoon interrupted. 42. Licensed private investigator. Your father's former partner. Amara's blood turned cold. You investigated him? I investigate everyone in your life. He took a slow sip of whiskey, his eyes never leaving hers. Did you think I wouldn't? That I'd just accept your lies and move on? You had no right. I have every right. His control cracked, voice rising. You work for me. You're in my world. That makes you a target for anyone who wants to hurt me. And you think I'm just going to ignore you sneaking around with a PI? He pulled out his phone, swiped through photos. Security camera footage. Amara's breath stopped. There she was, outside a warehouse in Gangnam, camera in hand, meeting with a source outside a seedy bar in Itaewon, sitting in Marcus's car on surveillance 3 nights ago. Want to tell me what my executive assistant is doing playing detective? Jaehoon's voice was ice. I'm not playing. Amara set down her glass before her shaking hands betrayed her. I'm licensed. I've been working cases for 6 months. 6 months. He stood abruptly, pacing. 6 months of lying to me. 6 months of putting yourself in danger. 6 months of... He stopped himself, jaw clenching. Of what? Amara stood too, anger finally overriding fear. 6 months of having a life outside this office? Of making my own choices? 6 months of risking your life? He whirled on her. Do you have any idea what you're doing? The people you're investigating, they're dangerous. And you're out there with a camera and a notepad thinking you're invincible. I know what I'm doing. My father trained me. Your father is dead. The words hung between them, brutal and true. I know, Amara said quietly. That's why I'm doing this. His last case was never solved. He was investigating corruption in Korean-American business. He died before he could finish. Something flickered across Jaehoon's face. And you think? I think he was killed for getting too close to the truth. Her voice strengthened. And I'm going to prove it. Jaehoon closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were filled with something that looked like pain. So you've been risking your life for a dead man's investigation. Without telling me. Without asking for help. I don't need your help. Yes, you do. He moved closer, and Amara backed up until she hit his desk. You absolutely do. Because do you know what I found when I had you followed? He pulled a folder from his desk drawer. Opened it. Surveillance reports. Her cases. Her movements. 3 weeks of documentation. Every case you've taken, he said, voice tight. Every risk. Every time you could have been hurt. I've been watching you destroy yourself trying to be a hero, and it's been killing me. Why? The question burst out of her. Why do you care so much? I'm just your assistant. Just my. Jaehoon's composure shattered. Are you serious? You think you're just my assistant? He was right there now, backing her fully against the desk. His hands came up, gripping the edge on either side of her, caging her in. I wait for you to arrive every morning, he said, his voice raw. I watch you from my window like a pathetic fool. I notice every change in your expression. Every time you're tired or hurt or lying. I've memorized the way you take your coffee. The way you tap your pen when you're thinking. The way you smile when you think no one's watching. Amara's heart was pounding so hard she could barely hear him. I fire clients who disrespect you, Jaehoon continued. I rearrange my schedule to spend more time in the office when you're here. I lie awake at night wondering if you're safe. And you think you're just my assistant. Mr. Kong. Jaehoon, he interrupted. When it's just us, I'm Jaehoon. Please. This is inappropriate, Amara whispered, even as her body betrayed her by leaning closer. I stopped caring about appropriate 6 months ago. His eyes dropped to her lips. The day you told me people are defined by their choices, not their inheritance. The day I realized I'd choose you over everything if you'd let me. You can't say things like that. Why not? You already know. His hand came up, hovering near her face, but not quite touching. You feel this too. I see it in the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. The way your breath catches when I'm close. The way you're not pushing me away right now. He was right. She should push him away. Should maintain professionalism. Should remember all the reasons this was impossible. But she couldn't move. I can't give up my work, she said instead. I can't stop investigating. I need to finish what my father started. Then let me help you. His forehead almost touched hers. Let me use my resources. My connections. Let me keep you safe while you get your answers. That's not how this works. I need my independence. I'm not asking you to give it up. I'm asking you to let me in. Their lips were inches apart. One movement. One choice. One moment of weakness. Jehun's phone rang. They both froze. The spell broke. Jehun stepped back, answered with a sharp, "What?" Amara watched his expression change. Anger bleeding into something else. Alert. Dangerous. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm on my way. He hung up, looked at Amara with fear in his eyes. One of my associates was just attacked. Hospitalized. The attackers mentioned your father's name. Amara's blood ran cold. What? Your PI case, Jehun said quietly. It intersects with my world. And now someone knows you're investigating. Before she could process that, his hands gripped her shoulders. That man who dropped you off this morning. Marcus. Is he connected to the case? He's helping me investigate, but what do you know about him really? He was my father's partner for 10 years. And after your father died, Jehun's voice was intense. Did you ever wonder why he suddenly wanted to help you finish the case? Amara's mind raced. What are you saying? I'm saying you're not the only one investigating. And now someone's targeting my people. His grip tightened. You're coming with me. Now. I'm not your prisoner. No. His eyes burned into hers. You're something far more dangerous. You're someone I can't afford to lose. Jehun's private club was nothing like Amara had imagined. No neon lights or obvious criminal activity. Just an upscale restaurant facade that hid a staircase leading down to a soundproofed basement level. Stay close, Jehun said, his hand at the small of her back. Possessive. Protective. They descended into a room where 8 men waited. All in expensive suits. All radiating danger. These were Jehun's inner circle. And from the looks they gave Amara, her presence was highly irregular. Boss, Jae-sung, Jehun's second-in-command, stood. His eyes flicked to Amara with barely concealed surprise. We didn't realize you were bringing a guest. Mississippi Park stays, Jehun said, his tone brooking no argument. He guided Amara to a chair beside his at the head of the table. Catch me up. Jae-sung hesitated, then pulled up security footage on the screen. Kim was leaving the warehouse when they hit him. 3 men. Professional. They knew his route, his timing. Did he see them? Before he lost consciousness, he heard them talking. They mentioned the park investigation. Amara's stomach dropped. My father's case? All eyes turned to her. Jehun's hand found hers under the table, squeezed once. A warning or comfort, she couldn't tell. What exactly are you investigating, Mississippi Park? Jae-sung asked, his voice carefully neutral. Amara looked at Jehun. He nodded slightly. My father was investigating corruption in Korean-American import-export businesses, she said. Money laundering, bribery, connections between legitimate businesses and organized crime. The room went silent. And you didn't think to mention this? One of the older men growled. You've been working here 18 months with access to everything, and you're investigating organized crime? She didn't know about us then, Jehun cut in. And her investigation isn't about our operations. It's about rivals. Isn't it, Amara? She nodded. The Kim family syndicate. My father had evidence they were using civilian businesses as fronts. He was building a case. And then he died, Jae-sung said slowly. Conveniently. Heart attack, Amara said. But I found threatening letters in his files. Warnings to drop the investigation. Another man leaned forward. So you decided to pick up where he left off, using a PI license and your partner Marcus Chin. The way he said Marcus's name made Amara's skin crawl. What about Marcus? She asked. Jehun pulled out a tablet, slid it across to her. We ran a deep background check after this morning. Marcus Chin, your father's partner. Also on the Kim family payroll for the last 8 months. Amara's world tilted. That's not possible. Bank records don't lie. Jehun's voice was gentle but firm. He's been taking money from them. And he's been feeding you cases. What cases? Jae-sung asked sharply. Amara's mind raced through the past 6 months. Background checks on businesses. Surveillance on warehouse operations. Following individuals Marcus said were connected to my father's case. You were gathering intelligence for them, Jehun said quietly. On my operations. Marcus was using you to spy on me. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. I didn't know. I swear I didn't. We know. Jehun's hand squeezed hers again. You were a pawn. They used your grief, your need for closure. So what do we do with her? The older man asked. She's compromised. A liability. She's off limits. Jehun's voice turned lethal. Anyone who touches her answers to me personally. Am I clear? The room nodded, but the tension was palpable. Meeting adjourned, Jihun said. Jae-sung, increase security. Find Marcus Chun. I want to have a conversation with him. As the room cleared, Amara sat frozen. Everything she'd worked for, every case she'd taken, all of it had been manipulation. Jihun waited until they were alone, then pulled his chair close to hers. Breathe, he said softly. I've been spying on you, Amara whispered. For 6 months. You've been trying to honor your father's memory. They exploited that. His hands framed her face, forcing her to look at him. This isn't your fault. Your people want me gone. They think I'm a traitor. My people will do what I tell them. And I'm telling them you're under my protection. Why? The question came out broken. Why would you protect someone who's been compromising your security? Because you didn't know, he said simply. And because watching you blame yourself is killing me. Amara felt tears burn her eyes. I should have been more careful. Should have vetted Marcus properly. Should have had someone you could trust, Jihun interrupted. Someone who would help you investigate properly instead of using you. He stood, pulled her up with him. Come on. We're leaving. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. Then we're going to talk about your father's case. The real investigation, not the one Marcus fed you. They took his car, a sleek black sedan with bulletproof glass. Jihun drove in silence, tension radiating from him. Why do you care so much? Amara finally asked. About my father's case. About helping me. Jihun was quiet for a long moment. My first assistant before you. She fed information to a rival gang. Nearly got me killed. I trusted her completely, and she betrayed me. I'm not her. I know. That's what terrifies me. He glanced at her, eyes reflecting streetlights. Because with her I was careful, guarded. But with you I let my guard down. I trusted you with everything. Not because you're my assistant, but because you're. He trailed off, jaw clenching. Because I'm what? Amara pressed. Because you're the only person who makes me want to be more than what I was born into, he said quietly. You asked me once if people can choose something better than their inheritance. You made me believe it's possible. Amara's breath caught. Jihun, I'm in love with you, he said, the words raw and honest. I have been for months. Since you stood up to that racist client and told him exactly where he could shove his business. Since you stayed late to help me with contracts you didn't have to touch. Since you made me laugh for the first time in years. He pulled the car over, turned to face her fully. I know I'm your boss. I know it's inappropriate. I know there's a power imbalance and a dozen reasons this is wrong. His hand found hers. But I can't keep pretending I don't feel this. And I can't watch you risk your life investigating your father's death without helping you. I don't want to lose myself in you, Amara whispered. I need my independence. Then we'll figure out how to have both, Jihun said. Together. As partners, not as boss and employee. Before Amara could respond, headlights flooded the car. 3 vehicles boxing them in. Jihun's expression shifted instantly. Get down. What's happening? Ambush. He was already reaching for the gun under his seat. Stay behind me. Whatever happens, stay behind me. The doors of the other vehicles opened, and Amara realized her investigation had just turned deadly. 6 men emerged from the vehicles, spreading out in practice formation. Jihun's hand found Amara's, squeezed once, then released. When I say run, you run, he said quietly. There's a service alley 20 feet behind us. Go there, call Jae-sung. His number's in my phone. I'm not leaving you. Amara. The first man raised his gun. Jihun moved like lightning, shoving Amara down as he threw open his door. Gunshots cracked the night. Amara's ears rang, but her training kicked in. Her father had taught her to survive. She rolled out the passenger side, using the car as cover. Heard Jihun engaging 2 attackers. His movements were efficient, brutal. A strike to one man's throat, disarming another with a twist that broke bones. But there were 6 of them. An attacker rounded the car toward Amara. Instinct took over. She grabbed the tactical pen from her bag, her father's gift, and drove it into the man's thigh. He went down screaming. Amara, run! Jihun shouted. But another attacker had him pinned, gun aimed at his head. Amara didn't think. She launched herself at the gunman, hitting him from the side. The gun discharged, bullets sparking off pavement. They went down together, Amara using every dirty trick her father had taught her. Elbow to the solar plexus. Palm strike to the nose. Knee to the groin. The man backhanded her, splitting her lip. Stars exploded across her vision. Then Jehun was there, pulling the attacker off her with savage fury. The fight was vicious and fast. When it ended, all 6 attackers were down, groaning or unconscious. Jehun grabbed Amara's hand. Move. Now. They ran to the service alley, Jehun pulling her into a recessed doorway. His chest heaved. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. You didn't run, he said, his voice shaking with anger or fear or both. Neither did you. I'm trained for this. You're trained too. Amara wiped blood from her split lip. My father taught me everything. Self-defense, tactical awareness, how to handle myself in a fight. Jehun stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You fought. I've always known how to fight. I just never told you. What else haven't you told me? But there was no anger in his voice now. Just wonder. Amara pulled out her phone, started calling Jae-sung. Jehun caught her wrist gently. Wait. He was looking at her like she was precious. Dangerous. Both. You saved my life back there. You saved mine first. That's different. I'm supposed to protect you. Why can't we protect each other? The question hung between them. Jehun's thumb traced her split lip, so gentle it made her chest ache. I'm in love with you too, Amara whispered. I have been since you fired that racist client. Since you defended me like I was worth defending. Since you made me feel seen for the first time since my father died. Jehun's breath caught. Amara, I was terrified to tell you. Terrified of losing my independence. Of becoming someone who needs protection instead of someone who stands on her own. She touched his face, blood and all. But watching you fight tonight, I realized something. Partnership isn't about losing yourself. It's about being stronger together. I don't want to cage you, Jehun said, his forehead touching hers. I want to fight beside you. Then stop trying to protect me from everything. Let me be your partner. Your equal. You've always been my equal. His hands framed her face. I was just too afraid to admit it meant I could lose you. Their kiss was desperate, honest, tasting of blood and adrenaline and truth. 18 months of tension finally breaking. His hands in her hair, her fingers gripping his jacket. Everything they'd been holding back unleashed in that moment. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Jehun pressed his forehead to hers again. We need to leave, he said. Those men were just the first wave. Who sent them? Probably the same people who've been using Marcus. The Kim family syndicate. He pulled out his phone, called Jae-sung himself. We need extraction. And I need everything you have on Marcus Chen's recent activities. While he gave their location, Amara's mind raced. Marcus had been her father's partner. Had he been dirty even then? Or had the Kim family gotten to him after? Amara. Jehun had ended the call. Your father's investigation. What exactly did he uncover? Evidence of money laundering through legitimate businesses. Shell companies. Bribery of port officials. He had names, dates, transactions. And where's that evidence now? Hidden. My father was paranoid. He kept backups in places no one would think to look. Do you know where? Amara nodded slowly. I'm the only one who does. He left me clues before he died. Instructions I didn't understand until I started investigating. Jehun's eyes widened. That's why they're targeting you. Not just to stop you from investigating. They want that evidence. And Marcus has been trying to get close enough to find it. Have you accessed it? Only once. To verify it existed. Then I hid it again. Amara looked at him. If I give you that evidence, you could use it. Against your rivals. It would give you significant power. Yes, Jehun said honestly. And I'm supposed to just trust you with it? No. His hands found hers. You're supposed to partner with me. We use it together. Finish what your father started. Bring down the Kim family properly. Legally if possible. You're a criminal. I'm trying to be better. He squeezed her hands. You make me want to be better. So let's do this right. Your father's investigation, my resources, legal channels where we can use them. And if we can't use legal channels, then we do what's necessary. His voice was firm. But together, no more secrets. No more lies. We're partners now. In everything. Amara searched his eyes, looking for deception. Found only honesty and something that looked like hope. Partners, she agreed. Headlights appeared at the alley entrance. Jehun tensed. then relaxed as he recognized the car. Jae-sung, we need to move fast, Jehun said as they headed toward the car. The Kim family knows you're with me now. They'll escalate. Let them, Amara said, surprising herself. I'm done hiding. Done being manipulated. Time to finish this. Jehun smiled, fierce and proud. That's my girl. My girl. The words should have bothered her. Instead, they felt like a promise. They reached the car. Jae-sung looked between them, took in their linked hands, their disheveled appearances, and wisely said nothing. Where to, boss? Jehun looked at Amara. Where's your father's evidence? She took a breath. This was it. Trust or nothing. His storage unit. Hongdae. Unit 447. Then that's where we're going. Jehun pulled her closer. Whatever happens next, we face it together. Amara nodded, feeling something settle in her chest. Not fear. Not doubt. Purpose. And for the first time in 6 months, she wasn't alone. The storage facility in Hongdae was quiet at 11 p.m. Jae-sung stayed in the car, keeping watch, while Jehun and Amara entered through the side entrance. Her hands shook as she unlocked Unit 447. Inside was exactly as her father had left it. Boxes of files. His old camera equipment. A lifetime of investigative work. Here, Amara moved to a filing cabinet, pulled out the third drawer, reached behind it. A false panel clicked open, revealing a fireproof safe. She entered the combination. Her birthday, her mother's birthday, her father's badge number. The safe opened. Inside was a single hard drive and a letter addressed to her. He knew, Amara whispered, picking up the letter with trembling hands. He knew something might happen to him. Jehun stood close, his presence steadying. What does it say? She read aloud, her voice breaking. Amara, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The Kim family is bigger than I realized. They have people everywhere, police, government, businesses. I gathered enough evidence to bring them down, but I need you to be smart about it. Trust no one, especially not Marcus. Amara's stomach dropped. He knew about Marcus? She kept reading. Marcus took money from them 6 months ago. I've been feeding him false information, using him to track their movements. But if something happens to me, he'll come for you. He'll use your grief to get close. Don't trust him. And don't try to finish this alone. Find someone stronger than both of us. Someone who can protect you while you get justice. I love you, sweetheart. Finish what I started. But stay alive. That's all that matters. Tears streamed down Amara's face. Jehun pulled her close, let her cry into his shoulder. He was protecting you even then, Jehun said softly. Setting up safeguards. I was so stupid. I fell right into Marcus's trap. You were grieving. He exploited that. Jehun's voice turned cold. And he'll answer for it. Amara pulled back, wiped her eyes. The hard drive. We need to see what's on it. They took everything back to Jehun's penthouse. His tech specialist was already there. A young woman named Minji who asked no questions as she connected the hard drive to an encrypted system. What they found was damning. 8 years of evidence. Bank transactions showing millions laundered through shell companies. Photos of Kim family members meeting with corrupt officials. Audio recordings of bribes being discussed. Shipping manifests for illegal goods. Everything needed to dismantle their entire operation. This is incredible, Minji breathed. Your father documented everything. Can we use it legally? Amara asked. Some of it was obtained without warrants, Minji said carefully. But there's enough legitimate evidence here to launch formal investigations. With the right prosecutor. I know someone, Jehun said. Prosecutor Han. She's been trying to build a case against the Kim family for years. She's clean, tenacious. Amara looked at him. You trust her? She's one of the few people in this city I do trust. She's cost me business by going after some of my operations, but she's fair. And she hates the Kim family more than she dislikes me. Then we give her the evidence, Amara decided. All of it. Let her do this right. Jehun smiled. Legal channels. Your father would be proud. What about Marcus? Amara asked quietly. Jae-sung, who'd been listening from the doorway, spoke up. We found him 2 hours ago. He's at a Kim family safe house in Gangnam. Looks like he's been living there. Rage flared hot in Amara's chest. I want to talk to him. Amara, I need to hear him say it. Need to understand why he betrayed my father. Why he used me. Jehun studied her face, then nodded. Together. We do this together. The safe house was upscale, inconspicuous. Jehun's men had it surrounded. When they entered, Marcus was sitting at the kitchen table, looking resigned. Amara, he said, his voice weary. I wondered when you'd figure it out. Why? The word came out broken. My father trusted you. I trusted you. Your father was going to get me killed, Marcus said flatly. He was obsessed. Didn't care about the danger. The Kim family gave me a choice. Help them or die. I chose to live. You chose money, Jehun corrected coldly. Bank records show $500,000 won over 8 months. Marcus's smile was bitter. Blood money. Every cent of it. You think I enjoyed betraying my partner? Manipulating his daughter? Then why do it? Amara demanded. Because I'm a coward, Marcus said simply. Your father was brave. Principled. He'd rather die than compromise. I'm not built like that. When they threatened my family, I broke. Something in his voice made Amara pause. What family? You told me you were divorced. No kids. I lied about that too. Marcus pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. A woman and 2 teenagers. My ex-wife in Busan. Our kids. The Kim family said if I didn't cooperate, they'd start with my daughter. The rage in Amara's chest flickered, complicated by unwanted understanding. You still had choices, Jehun said. Not ones I could live with. Marcus looked at Amara. Your father knew I was compromised. That letter he left you. He knew I'd come after you. He was giving you a head start, hoping you'd be smarter than me. And you were. You found someone who could actually protect you. He glanced at Jehun. Kang Jehun. Your father would hate that you're with a criminal. But at least this one's competent. He's helping me finish the investigation properly, Amara said. We're giving the evidence to Prosecutor Han. Marcus's eyes widened. You're going legal? It's what my father wanted. Justice. Real justice. The Kim family will come after you. Let them try, Jehun said, his hand finding Amara's. She's not alone anymore. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket. Jehun's men instantly raised their weapons. Easy, Marcus said, moving slowly. He pulled out a USB drive. Additional evidence. Things I gathered while working for them. I'm not proud of what I did, but I'm not completely spineless. If you're really taking them down, you'll need this. Amara took the drive, their fingers brushing. Why give this to me now? Because your father was right. Some things are worth dying for. Marcus looked tired. Old. And because I owe him a debt I can never repay. Maybe this is a start. What happens to you now? Amara asked. That's up to Mr. Kang, Marcus said, looking at Jehun. Jehun was quiet for a moment. You testify. Full cooperation with Prosecutor Han. You help take down the Kim family. Do that, and I'll make sure your family stays safe. And after? After you disappear. New identity. Fresh start somewhere far from Seoul. But you never contact Amara again. Marcus nodded slowly. Fair enough. As they left the safe house, Amara felt something release in her chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but closure. You okay? Jehun asked. I will be. She looked up at him. Thank you. For not killing him. He's a coward, but he's useful. And his family doesn't deserve to suffer for his mistakes. Jehun pulled her close. Besides, I'm trying to be better, remember? For you. Amara smiled, genuine this time. We're going to take them down. The Kim family. Everything they've built. Yes, we are. Jehun kissed her forehead. Together. 3 months later, Amara arrived at the office building in her own car. A sleek silver sedan Jehun had insisted on after her old one was totaled. She'd argued about accepting it until he'd pointed out that her safety was non-negotiable, and she'd realized that sometimes accepting help wasn't weakness. She parked and looked up at the executive suite windows. Jehun stood there, watching her arrive. But his expression was different now. No jealousy. No possessive fury. Just warmth and something that looked like pride. She waved. He smiled, that rare genuine smile reserved only for her. The office had changed. Her desk was gone from the outer office. Now she had her own suite down the hall. Park Investigations, the door read. A legitimate PI firm operating parallel to Jehun's businesses. Licensed. Legal. Properly funded. She was no longer his assistant. She was his partner. In business and in life. Morning. Minji called as Amara entered. The tech specialist had become her second employee, helping digitize her father's old cases and manage the firm's cybersecurity. Morning. Any updates on the Kim case? Prosecutor Han called. The trial starts next week. She's confident. Minji grinned. Your father's evidence is airtight. Plus Marcus's testimony sealed everything. 3 months since they'd handed over the evidence. 3 months of watching the Kim family's empire crumble under legal scrutiny. Arrests. Indictments. Assets frozen. Justice. Real justice. Just like her father had wanted. Amara's phone buzzed. Jihun. Lunch? 1 p.m. I miss you. They'd been living together for 2 months now. Saw each other every morning and night. But he still texted her throughout the day like they were teenagers. She typed back. You saw me 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes too long. Amara smiled, shaking her head. Kang Jihun, feared Mafia boss, was secretly a romantic. Her morning was consumed with client meetings. A woman whose husband was hiding assets. A business owner suspicious of embezzlement. Legitimate cases. Honest work. Using her skills to help people, just like her father had. At 1 p.m., she walked to Jihun's office. He was on the phone but gestured her in, his expression softening the moment he saw her. I'll call you back, he said, ending the call. Then he was around the desk, pulling her close. Hi. Hi. She kissed him, easy and natural. 3 months together, and it still felt new. Still made her heart race. How was your morning? He asked. Busy. Good. She settled into the couch in his office. The same one where everything had exploded 3 months ago. Minji says the trial starts next week. I heard. Han is thorough. The Kim family won't walk. My father would be. Her voice caught. Jihun sat beside her, pulled her close. Would be incredibly proud of you. You finished what he started. And you did it right. We did it right. She looked up at him. I couldn't have done this alone. You were never meant to do it alone. He kissed her temple. That was your father's whole point. Find someone strong enough to stand with you. Think he'd approve? Of you. Jihun laughed softly. Probably not. Criminal boss dating his daughter? He'd want to kill me. But you're trying to be better. Because of you. His hand found hers, laced their fingers together. You make me want to build something legitimate. Something I'm not ashamed of. It was true. Over the past 3 months, Jihun had been slowly transitioning his operations. Shutting down illegal ventures. Investing in legitimate businesses. It would take years to fully clean up his empire. But he was trying. For her. For them. For the future they were building. I have a new case, Amara said. Corporate espionage. Tech company in Gangnam. Could take a few weeks. Dangerous. Shouldn't be. Mostly surveillance and digital forensics. Still, his jaw tightened slightly. Old habits. Keep me updated. Let me know if anything feels off. I will. She squeezed his hand. I promise. No more secrets. No more secrets, he agreed. It was their mantra now. The foundation of their relationship. Honesty, even when it was hard. Trust, even when it scared them. That evening, Amara prepared for the surveillance job. Jihun watched her pack her equipment, his expression carefully neutral. You're nervous, she said. I'm trying not to be. He sat on their bed. You're good at this. Trained. Capable. I know all that rationally. But emotionally? Emotionally. I want to lock you in this penthouse and never let you face danger again. He smiled wryly. But I love you too much to cage you. Amara crossed to him, stood between his knees. I love you for not trying. Who's your partner tonight? Jae-sung. They'd developed a good working relationship. Jihun's second-in-command had proven to be excellent backup on cases that needed muscle. Good. He'll keep you safe. Jihun pulled her closer. Text me when you're done? Always. She left at 10 p.m., kissing him goodbye at the door. The surveillance job was routine. For hours watching a suspect meeting with competitors. Jae-sung was professional, efficient. By 2 a.m., they had everything they needed. Want me to drop you home? Jae-sung offered. Amara smiled, thinking of 3 months ago. Of Jihun watching her arrive in Marcus's car with jealous fury in his eyes. Yeah, thanks. When she walked into the penthouse at 2:47 a.m., Jihun was still awake. Not pacing anxiously. Not drinking whiskey by the window. Just reading on the couch, peaceful and patient. He looked up when she entered, closed his book. How'd it go? Got everything we needed. Clean job. She dropped onto the couch beside him. You waited up. I always wait up. He pulled her against him. Can't sleep until you're home. That's going to be inconvenient when I have overnight stakeouts. Then I'll invest in better coffee. He kissed the top of her head. Worth it to know you're safe. Amara smiled against his chest. This was love. Not possession or control. Just caring enough to wait. Trusting enough to let her go. Strong enough to be vulnerable. Who dropped you off? Jihun asked, and she heard the smile in his voice. It was their inside joke now. The question that had started everything. Jae-sung. He sends his regards and says you're insufferable. Accurate. Jihun tilted her face up, kissed her properly. Still love me? Unfortunately. She kissed him back. Stuck with you now. Good. Because I'm never letting you go. Possessive. Completely. His arms tightened around her. You made me fall in love with you. You made me want to be better. You changed everything. So yes, I'm possessive. And protective. And completely, irrevocably yours. I'm yours too, Amara admitted. But I'm also mine. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. He pressed his forehead to hers. You're mine and you're yours and we're ours. All of it at once. They sat there as Seoul's lights glittered through the windows. Two people who'd found each other in darkness and chosen to build something better. Partnership. Trust. Love without ownership. Amara thought about her father. About the investigation she'd finished in his name. About Marcus's betrayal and redemption. About the Kim family finally facing justice. But mostly, she thought about the man holding her. The one who'd watched her arrive in another man's car and demanded answers. The one who'd been terrified and possessive and willing to change. The one who loved her enough to let her be dangerous and strong and free. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For asking who dropped me off that morning. For caring enough to be jealous. For loving me enough to trust me. Jihun smiled against her hair. Best question I ever asked. Best answer I ever gave. They stayed like that until dawn, wrapped in each other, secure in the knowledge that whatever came next, they'd face it together. Equal. Partners. Home.